The contract update is one of the most special pieces of DLC GTA Online has ever received. A new business, tons of new special vehicles, the introduction of the stun gun into online, along with the previously scrapped heavy rifle, and a new weapon introduced, the EMP compact launcher. A whole new set of missions, introduced by co-owner Franklin Clinton himself, who returned to the GTA spotlight after 8 years. Lamar makes a return,
my politically incorrect racial epithets.
Along with Chop, almost a miracle that he's still around, and obviously the main star of the entire show, Dr. Dre. Teased in a Cayo Perico cutscene, the premise behind the DLC is to help Dr. Dre get his stolen phone back that includes demos, unreleased songs in them, investigate data leaks and track any copies of his stolen music, then track the person responsible for the whole mess. A simple premise, although not a bad one. It's one of the most GTA-like updates we've had in recent years, including vehicles, mission set pieces, character dynamics and other stuff that feels a lot more at home for the series. We've come a long way from stopping a crazy tech module, his AI and his nuke inside of Mount Chiliad. From what was promised, it didn't sound like the biggest, but definitely one of the most surprising and unique updates in a while. And while it was mostly predictable to think how this update was gonna be structured, I can still say a lot of positive things about it. Let's begin. Lamar will call you to tell you about the new businesses you can buy, the agencies. After you've purchased one of them, you get introduced to returning GTA 5 character Franklin Clinton.
Hey, what's cracking?
You're basically the co-owner of this place now and Frank would treat you as one. Unlike some other loudmouth who acted as if he ran the place despite not knowing who you really are.
Oh, baby, shit. Come here, girl. You need to take all this shit off.
You a bad motherfucker.
Nah, you a bad.
The agency has its own set of special improvements. The location barely matters actually. The armory is a new room that allows you to buy ammo and new guns at a discounted price, along with Mark II upgrades. It also comes with a weapon locker that you can use to customize a weapon wheel inside. Also a set of body armor, parachutes and a health pack. Furthermore, it grants you access to buy the compact EMP launcher, a new weapon which left a lot to be desired. The other improvement is the vehicle workshop. You already gain an additional 20 car garage space right out of the gate, but the optional workshop to tune your cars with includes a set of unique customization options, Imani tech, for select vehicles from the new update. But I'll go about those in greater detail later. Extra abilities include being able to leave the building with a vehicle sitting inside the agency or a non-weaponized helicopter, similar to the office business from 2016. Actually, I'm starting to think they took that initial office as a blueprint for the agency. Even the sitting animations is the same. Also, you can fast travel to certain locations with your company vehicle. You can call someone from your company to bring you back to the agency, similar to the taxi, or being able to call in one for yourself like a personal vehicle. Imani has two extra features. One of them entirely useless, letting you source a random motorcycle that has no standout feature or trait to it, and the out of sight option. You go off the radar, however you're not on the timer. It works endlessly, as long as you stay inside that 500 meter radius situated from where you made the call. Killing someone inside the radius deactivates the feature of course, so the best way to use it is as a defensive feature to avoid potential pursuers, get a drop on them or to just spy on them. The best feature, which costs you nothing extra, is the ability to finally pet Chop. They even gave you XP and awards for it. I cannot say the agency is one of the greatest ways to really make some good money back, unless there's like a double cash bonus for the missions the business comes with. But which are those exactly? Before you can deal with Dr. Dre's issue, you have to get through a few security missions first. There's 6 types of them. They can mostly be relegated to basic free mode objectives. There's the recovery of valuables that have you move to a certain location, unlock a safe to retrieve a valuable item and returning it to the agency. Vehicle recovery is largely similar. You enter a garage or a warehouse, kill everyone in it, be prepared for the suddenly spawning AI hostiles though. Grab the car and then move out. Then bring it back to the agency.
Good shit.
With rescue operations you need to get to the location your client is at. Eliminate everyone trying to kill you, take them and bring them to the assigned safe house location. In liquidizing assets you tail a random NPC to their hideout, destroy their product, set charges then leave. In one of the missions I did a terrible mistake of using a keyboard to fly my helicopter, which resulted in me crashing into the car I was supposed to tail behind. It exploded but the person was still alive, and the mission couldn't continue. Don't replicate what I did. Gang terminations are the absolute worst. You travel to the pinpointed area, look for several high-ranking enemies, usually sergeants or generals, and try to take them all out, while getting circled at all times. Definitely not fun as a low level who could die pretty fast. At one point I even had the problem of one target being missing despite it nowhere being able to be found. I avoid these missions like the plague, to be honest. Asset protection is the only one that truly stands out among the rest. The premise of standing in one area and defending several objectives is not a new concept in itself obviously, but one barely explored in GTA Online. Normally I'd find these missions to be quite boring, but having them here as an exception to the common steal this then drive back or kill this guy then leave mission structure was a breath of fresh air. They can also be quite challenging, especially on solo. My only problem would be that they drag on a tad bit too long. Removing 2 minutes from the defending time would have been fine. All of these contracts are randomly available in 3 different difficulties: Professional, Specialist and Specialist Plus, with better payouts the higher the difficulty. Grinding security contracts can unlock your trade prices or increase your daily revenue from the safe up to $100 per mission, with a maximum of $20,000 per day. Then there's the real free roam moneymaker, the payphone hits. Those eventually unlock after completing your first few security missions. You walk up to a payphone, listen to what Franklin asks you to do, similar to the lesser assassination missions from single player, just without the stock market benefits.
Sounds good.
You get to the target, but also keep the assassination bonus in mind. If you eliminate the target in the way the mission requires you to, you get a huge bonus payout. It makes the entire difference. Even though it has some really bogus extra requirements. Sometimes. After a bit of security work, Franklin will call you to meet him at the golf course, where you'll meet the man himself.
Let's roll.
We meet with DJ Pooh to introduce ourselves to Dre, and after merely chasing and intimidating 2 other golf players interrupting a session, we have already proven ourselves to be of help in this situation. After getting back to the agency, Imani tells us that the location to the phone is firewalled, and the only way to find out its location is to break into the FIB to plug in a USB into the server stacks, which allows us to track the copies of the songs that got made? Anyway, these copies act as data signatures to find out where the songs are being played and where the phone might be. A little later Lamar comes in. Not gonna lie, seeing these characters interact with one another again is really nice to see. It almost reminds me of the old single player days, and they haven't even lost their touch one bit. The cutscenes are some of the best things in this update. There's all types of dumb shenanigans and disputes happening all the time. Makes me wish we had a proper story DLC for this instead.
I remember this dude when he was broke as fuck. Could barely get a motherfucking coach seat. Now all of a sudden, eating grapes in the cockpit with the captain. Look at you.
I got you, homie.
Come on, man, give me a beat, nigga.
Oh, shit.
Fuck! God damn, Frank!
Man, you know the fuck that is. You motherfucking hate right. You always coming in fucking up shit with your crazy ass. You know why I am, no. Man, chill the fuck out, Lamar.
Your dog made Mari up into an edible.
What's so him, nigga?
And so we break into the FIB. Is it just me or is it extremely lazy how they almost one-to-one reuse the same mission structure as the Bureau raid from single player? The roof approach of it. You get in the same way, get into the servers in both missions, then defend for a while in the exact same location, then get out of there but in different ways. In GTA Online you don't have to run through the entire building. I can hardly call this a callback or homage to something if it's part of the same fucking game. A single voice line in a cutscene can be fun, but not an entire mission. One thing that will quickly become annoying after almost every time you finish a mission is the waiting times in between. Imani will be in touch with you about this soon. It says that all the time. It gets old fast and you have to wait a few minutes outside the building to receive the call that lets you continue to the next mission. After the FIB mission, you get to continue with 3 data leaks, starting with whatever you choose to do first.
So, 3 copies, 3 locations, 3 owners. And the only way we can plug the leak is tracking down all of them. We'll do it one by one.
Every data leak consists of 2 setup missions in free roam and 1 sort of finale missions at the end. In the nightlife leak, you need to enter a nightclub to grab a security tape from the triads, then in mission 2 get to a yacht to look for a promoter's party venue, then get to the finale where you go to the party that has the music playing. Try to whip it away from the promoter while casually getting a beer bottle smashed into your face, nothing that a Fuse Next couldn't fix, then get the hell out of there. The finale payout is ridiculously small. The quote-unquote real money comes from those first completion bonuses you get at the very tail end of the adventure and the 1 million on top of that. As I said, not the greatest return investment. The second data mission segment is the High Society League, and this is where Rockstar really becomes topical and leans into their parody of American society again. In the first mission you get to the Pacific Bluffs Country Club to hack yourself into the surveillance room. From there you find out the location of a limo you need to tail, or maybe shoot the driver if you don't want your time wasted. Take the driver's wallet and then bring it back to the agency. After that you find a second copy to some billionaire crypto investor that wants to sell Dre's unreleased art as an NFT. No, I'm not joking.
He won't with Dre Music.
Yeah, it's weird, right? So I did a little digging, and it looks like he wants to use it as an NFT.
Rockstar wouldn't even have to pay me for this. I'd gladly take care of that issue on that principle alone.
Oh shit. Okay, well look, let's get our associate on that guest list.
Did they cut off his voice line mid-sentence and he was supposed to say more? In the second mission you try to take a Sawyer captive so he can grant you access to the crypto billionaire's NFT auction. Just make sure you don't fuck that up like I did. After that's all done you get to the second finale, and where you get to the billionaire's mansion to crash his auction party, destroying vehicles and equipment, killing his guards until he comes out. We chase and shoot after him in his heli and let him die an honorable death. At least honorable for someone willing to destroy the environment to selling people absolute bullshit they don't even themselves own. Then there's the South Central League. You meet up with a guy called Vernon, help him interrupt a drug deal between gangs in La Mesa, and get the contraband to the designated drop-off. Nothing major. In the second mission you get to visit the Grove to help the families in a fight against the Ballers, in which there are a lot of gang members a part of. You slowly follow Vernon to a garage door. Hope the escort doesn't glitch out. Let him interrogate someone for a while and you're out and done. On to the finale where you meet up with Vernon to take out some vagos and get the guy playing the music. Then deliver the car back to the agency. And that's pretty much it with the data signals. But the entire thing isn't over yet. We meet up with Ray in the agency to finally find out who's behind all this.
Johnny fucking Guns? I should have fucking known.
He looks like a bitch.
Yeah, a real bitch.
In the next mission we get called by Frank to drop by in the studio. However, Johnny Guns already sent his people to it. We clear the studio of everyone in the room, get lost for a while and not realize where we have to go, and then meet up with Dre. Despite just having been in a violent shootout, the next course of action would be to clean everything up and party like nothing happened. Anything to prove a point, I guess. I like how our online characters haven't even bothered to remove their bloodstains in the meantime. Seeing Dre work with Anderson .Paak was genuinely cool to see for a bit, but the problem is that it's the ending cutscene, which means you cannot skip it. If you ever replay it, it's not possible. Which is particularly dumb since the same studio session could occur if you ever visit Record A Studio yourself once it unlocks as a social space after the ending. But I guess Rockstar spent too much on Dre's appearance alone and getting this cutscene to work just for you to not see it. Would be unfair in Rockstar's eyes. So, mission completed, but we're still not done. We have to chase Johnny Guns after all. So we find his hiding spot, watch him drive away and get teleported somewhere else away from the deal to deal with his goons first. Then get back into a car to chase him all the way into LSIA. Whoever hoped that we'd get a situation in where our target gets sucked into a turbine again is out of luck. Instead we fight more of his people inside the hangar. Give him a magazine to cause an injury, and then we pull him outside of the hangar. And there's Dre.
Nice, and you can really get a hold of it, you know what I mean? Now that's a great club. And I tell you what, man.
Bitch! Ass! Motherfucker! I don't even feel bad anymore.
It was inevitable. The leaks are already out there, and once they got shared there would be no way they could all be wiped again. I mean, what did he expect? Does he know how many Kanye leaks are out there on the internet? We hop into his car, and before we can drive him to his pickup location, he gives us a world premiere of one of his exclusive demos.
But you want to hear something? Okay. This is a world premiere. Right here. Right now.
And that's it. That was the Dre contract. We get the $1 million and the first time completion bonus, and Franken congratulates us in the corniest way possible.
To the ground. I see you soon, nigga.
I can say playing through these missions was a fun endeavor, although not the most paid. However, I got a good amount of genuine laughs out of them. Catching up with Frank and Lamar again, Rockstar completely shitting on the NFT hype, Dre's role in the game, and seeing Chop in his probably last few years, or even year, is kind of heartwarming after all. This is the closest a GTA update has ever felt to single player DLC, and never would that be more felt than in the upcoming trilogy of missions that are secretly, but also not so secretly hidden a while after the Dre situation. But let's get all of the other additions out of the way first. In terms of clothing, there isn't much added or to be said here. For a hip-hop oriented update, it's kind of lackluster. They added one more hairstyle to the update, which... Come on Rockstar, there's still a lot you haven't added that wouldn't cause much clipping issues anyway. However, there's a good amount of new music added, including a new set of Dre-produced classics on West Coast Classics, including songs by Mary J. Blige, Blackstreet, Jay-Z, 50 Cent and more, new contemporary hits and exclusive tracks on Radio Los Santos, and a completely new station, Motomami Los Santos, that plays a diverse range of reggaeton, EDM and a bit of rap as well. Most importantly is the media player editions. Aside from 2 tracks produced by Nas, one of them featuring Schoolboy Q, you also get the entire new EP of Dre demos added to the update. They sit on your office table once you finish the entire contract. Definitely a substantial addition of songs, even though I slightly prefer the Cayo Perico editions more. The guns added are a mixed bag in this update. The stun gun is finally available for purchase in GTA Online. The only real difference between this one and the version in single player is the long delay between every shot. That can be circumvented by disabling and enabling your loadout. Just a little bit of testing would have been nice. Could be fun to play around with, but not for $300,000. The heavy rifle is another assault rifle added to GTA Online, which has been initially cut from GTA 5 during development. Clearly based on the SCAR variant, this gun specializes in slower fire rates but more damage and accuracy, and it's a solid tool to use. Then there's the EMP launcher that the people were most looking forward to, probably because they expected it to be a great Oppressor Mark II counter. The problem is that the EMP launcher shoots grenade projectiles similar to the normal compact launcher, which is fine for ground targets like tanks or big armored vehicles, but for aerial targets really bad. If it was more like an up and atomizer but for electronics, it would have been way more useful, and a perfect fly swatter for oppressors. Talking about oppressor counters though, let's move on to the vehicle selection. It's a very mixed bag in terms of customization and performance. What I first want to get out of the way is how 2 of my biggest preconceptions for these cars have become reality. You cannot put drift tires on any of the new cars, nor can you stance them via the interaction menu. I was genuinely curious if those 2 features were going to be a standard for all new GTA cars, at least going forward, but my pessimistic side won this time. Both are exclusive to the tuner cars only. I understand the drift tires, but lowering and stancing? Even some of the old cars can do it. Talking about tuners, I also didn't like how they completely nerfed them when hitting the handbrake. Whenever you try to pull the handbrake, the car completely stalls. This was done to work against the top speed glitch and where putting drift tires brought you up to ridiculous speeds, up to some of the fastest land vehicles in the game, but would have no actual use in races that aren't just a straight line. The problem is now the drift cars immediately cut power whenever you try to pull a slide. Tapping the handbrake a few times during a slide was necessary to keep a slide going during GTA drifting, and that's now almost impossible. I understand what they were trying to fix, but the way they went about it is in my opinion just completely wrong. It was already not easy since you couldn't drift at high speeds, as the physics almost always try to prevent you from wheel spinning too much and losing traction and stability. I hope they can find a way to revert this change while also not making them the fastest vehicles ever again. So what about the new vehicles then? As said before, they are a mixed bag. Following up tuners that gave us a new Supra, RX-7 and fan requests would be tough to follow up with, and this update is more of an executive type update as well, which means a much bigger focus on luxury cars. There's the Buffalo STX, which is a standout. A much needed modern revision of a Charger SRT Hellcat in the GTA universe that also happens to be the best car in its class. There's also the Pfister S-Tron, which is based on the Porsche Macan, which is relatively fast and has some decent customization, at least for an SUV, or the Pegassi Ignis, which is clearly based on the Lamborghini Sian, which I've wanted to see for a while now. Those are probably my favorite 3 out of the update, but that's where the praise ends. Other cars in this list consist of normal luxury sedans like the Cinque Mila or the Deity, the massively disappointing Debauché Champion, which strikes some nice looks but doesn't have much tuning and performs absolutely terrible in its Supers class it's in. Hell of an irony for its name. Another addition I don't understand is the Baller ST, yet another Baller variant after the Finance and Felony update gave us already the limited edition and the limited edition long wheelbase variants. This barely looks any different and merely applies a new host of customization options, so nothing out of the ordinary. However, it was free during Christmas, and I would have never spent money on it otherwise. The Comet S2 Cabrio is another variant edition that wasn't necessary. Why didn't the original S2 already have a convertible option? Of course this has less customization, is somehow more expensive, and since it's not a tuner DLC car you can't naturally stance it or apply drift tires. However, it has the Love Fist livery, which is based on Johnny Silverhand's Samurai Porsche from Cyberpunk, that I always wanted, and is still unreleased till this day for the normal Comet S2. Then there's also the Nagasaki Shinobi, a pretty nice looking bike with a cool set of customization and liveries, but is totally not worth the 2.4 million asking price for something that a body could provide you performance wise. Then we have the Patriot Mil-Spec, a decent addition to some people, especially for the military crowd. It's pretty much what the Squaddy should have been and offers a lot of flexibility in looks. You could truly make it your own, or just another Humvee. The next few cars I have barely anything to mention for. The Jubilee is an okay SUV with its Imani tech and performance. The Granger is as generic as it can get, same as the Sino, but the Obey E-Wagen is a total embarrassment, with next to no options for visuals and a container for being the slowest SUV out of the entire game. At least you can reverse it in the other's car meet though. The Reaver was the last vehicle released for the DLC, based on the ARC Method 143, out of Keanu Reeves' motorcycle company. Reeves, Weaver, get it? It specifically reminisces the Cyberpunk variant of it. As you can see how closely you could manage to resemble that yellow variant. It's pretty much a whopping 2 million, has some nice customization and also, due to a bug, has the fastest top speed out of any motorbike when pulling a wheelie, faster than a gargoyle even. I imagine it being patched soon, but if you want to win some drag events for a while, you better invest in those 2 million. Now some of these vehicles have their own specific customization options to them, things like the pea-shooter machine guns or the oil spill mine, which isn't the most useful but often amusing to use against online players. But more importantly, the extra armor, which lets your vehicle withstand a few more explosions, the missile lock-on chamber and remote control unit. The RC unit turns your car basically into an RC Bandito, letting you steer your car while completely off the radar, along with a self-destruct option. That could be pretty useful to sneak up on a player or to just troll them by running people over in a vehicle that takes some rockets to blow up and has no driver to shoot out from. The missile lock-on tells you exactly what it is, which makes it a pretty good oppressor deterrent. A lot of Mark II users depend on the ease of just spamming one button to quickly blow up the player below them. With that gun they aren't as willing to approach you even. Not that nobody will ever try, but definitely some lose their confidence it seems. It applies to all kind of lock-on missiles obviously, even helicopters. The very last element to this DLC are the short trip missions, which are special in their own way since it's probably the biggest piece of fan service Rockstar's implemented into GTA. A good while after having finished the Dre Missions, you get a call from Franklin to visit him at Record A Studios.
I know you've been there already, but Pooh just called and said I can come through and get a tour of Dre's studio as a thank you for what we did for him.
Once you're there, you'll be prompted to start a mission there with a second player. You take part in a short tour around Dre's studio, witness Lamar spitting horrible bars, before moving on to the smoking room where the magic happens. Whatever your character is smoking on, it would transcend you into a different body, either Franklin or Lamar. I think it's obvious what's about to happen. You're gonna play as those two story characters. In multiplayer. Which is kind of insane to think about. You would have never expected it. It's the closest thing we'll get to a story mode DLC. The short trips consist of 3 missions, and they are no short endeavors. They all have their own set of action set pieces, stupid shenanigans and cutscenes with characters actually interacting with one another, which was something that was deeply missed from GTA Online's protagonist. You just forget how much 2 active characters talking to each other adds to the scene. I have to admit how cool it is that they actually paid a bit of attention to give Franklin or Lamar's interaction menu a redesign, and also gave the menus its green color back. Everything about this is pure fan service.
You fucking with me, right? Nigga fuck around and get pink eye. Cause you's a dirty ass B-I-E-E's itch.
What?
One of the other cool things I feel like are kind of overlooked are the combos between Frank and Lamar in a smoking room. You can listen to those dialogues after finishing the first mission, which lets you get back into the smoking room. Some of them are kind of meta and almost break the fourth wall.
Y'all ever wonder, like, everybody else is an actor? And we the only motherfuckers that's real?
Homie, there it go right there. You finally said it. I've been trying to tell you the whole time, dog. You got main character syndrome.
What the fuck is that?
Completing each mission gives us another big payout bonus for its first time. So let me wrap up my thoughts on the Contract DLC. It's about what I expected. A pretty expensive update, not extraordinarily rich in content or payout, that mostly carries itself on its unique premise alone. Dr. Dre himself, along with other fan-favorite characters working you through a set of mini-heists along with story mode-esque co-op missions, is absolutely an idea you could sell me to. If this was about any other unknown or made-up record producer, and the story mode stuff wasn't there, this DLC would have easily flopped. It's not a DLC of high replayability like the casino heist, and definitely not Cayo Perico. However, you'll mostly enjoy your time during your playthrough. I like some of the new vehicles that were added to this update and the special features it got. But the new guns, aside maybe from the heavy rifle, do absolutely nothing for me. I also feel like it's kind of held back by the fact it's inside of online. Playing through the Dre and short trip missions would take you around 4 to 6 hours to complete, which is longer than just the main story of GTA 4's DLCs, but is a lot less mission content. The DLC is still bound to GTA Online's limitations, the constant running back and forth from the agency and to the agency, the free roam missions that for the most part adhere to a short, simple mission structure, the cutscenes that get absolutely carried by its supporting cast and not by yourself who's not able to contribute to the conversation, all at a whole extra amount of fat that could have been trimmed down if it was a more concise, focused single player experience. But there was zero chance of that ever happening. GTA Online is the main moneymaker and the short trips are Rockstar basically saying, hey, we scrapped all plans regarding story mode because this is more lucrative, but this is the next best thing we could do for you. You know what? Maybe it's time for this Frankenstein monster of an MMO to finally set itself on its deathbed. GTA 6 is in the works, we've been playing this game for almost 9 years, and we're pushing the game's infrastructure and especially our hardware to its limits. I'd say this would be a pretty decent note to end it on, but that's obviously not gonna happen since GTA 5 is now arriving on next gen with new content. So they definitely got more planned for the future. Oh well.